This one I have been the most jealous of.
You've been wanting to create a scent for a long time?
Yes. Nate, he's the nose, he's the perfumer, he's the one that's in the lab doing iteration after iteration.
Whitney has got such a vast knowledge of the perfume industry and is great at picking out notes that will make sense to other people.
It smells like sitting through mass.
Sometimes I would ask people, what are they wearing? Men used to take that the wrong way.
So we can smell it in parts per trillion, which is just crazy.
My heart's pounding. It's not something most people would want to smell like.
So I'm gonna try not to cry.
Te Rongo Kirkwood is one of the very few artists in Aotearoa working with glass.
And it's also sounding like she's a real fragrance person. She's been obsessed with fragrances, has wanted to design one since she was a little girl.
She also talks in here about her auntie working in a chemist when she was a little girl and getting all those little miniature perfume bottles. That literally sounds like my childhood. My mum used to go around to all the pharmacies in New Zealand selling perfumes to all the farmers' wives.
She talks about wet sand, West Coast kind of wet sand. She also is urban. Maybe there's an idea that we could bring this sort of wet sand thing and marry it with like concrete jungle, you know, flowers popping through.
I love that contrast. Where would you start with it?
I feel like there would be some soil, some sort of urban dirt, but this kind of beautiful, wet, white floral, something like that.
I love that description. I also see a softness and a quiet femininity to her as well underneath.
Yeah.
So maybe we could consider something like Cetalocks, which really smells like beautiful, beautiful, warm, clean skin to add that touch of wahine
Totally.
into it.
I know you're a lover of scent.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle would use as a standard joke about me that I was slightly obsessive. Sometimes I would ask people, what are they wearing? And they walk past me in the street. Men used to take that the wrong way. Growing up, everything from working with my dad in the garden, being with my grandmother in her garden, and she adored all kinds of flowers, roses, jasmine. Even walking through the bush and smelling the different plant materials. Maybe it's more of a sensitivity to the experience of it.
That experience is what people who make fragrance try to capture and bottle, really.
Yeah.
You've been wanting to create a scent for a long time?
Yes. It's a creative desire that's always been in me that is different from the hardness of some of the materials that I've used before.
And I guess glass and fragrance have always been married, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is my space.
Oh, cool. So this is a kiln?
Yep, that's the one for really big pieces.
I've never seen a kiln so big.
Yeah, good for dead bodies.
Yeah.
These are puriho vessel. I wanted to create a sense of the earth moving up into the clouds, and I'm trying to capture that feeling of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And that's oanuku, eh? The rainbow.
Yeah, incredible.
What I want to do with that is put a fragrant oil inside of that.
You're kidding?
And rongoa, like plants, and see what happens.
Wow. If you need someone to make the oil.
Yeah, I would love that. I would totally love that. Absolutely, I do.
That's so cool.
Everyone knew that I loved fragrance, so I would get given like a miniature little Coco Chanel bottle. That was just like the biggest treasure, that little glass bottle. And I think probably there's an unconscious connection to that with glass and me working in glass, and also that lifelong appreciation of fragrance.
Yeah, the bottle or the vessel is almost as important, especially visually, as the juice inside, right?
Yeah.
And so what is it about the West Coast that is inspirational for you? And if there was a smell, how would you describe that?
The smell of the wind on a really intense day, there's an energy in that.
Stunning.
Isn't it beautiful? It's very primal.
That's what I get a lot of. I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah.
These cool rock faces, eh?
Yeah.
What do you smell?
Well, it smells earthy, but also mineral. I don't know if that's the right term.
Totally.
I don't want to say sweet, but it's not quite, that's probably not quite the right word.
Yeah, I get that. After a day of wild weather on the West Coast with Te Rongo, I've got a key scent in mind. Something that captures the potency of the earth, plants, and a rainy day. It's called petrichor. I meet up with chemist Lisa Pilkington, who knows exactly what it is. It's kind of all around us here, isn't it?
It is a really great place to smell it.
This looks like a pretty good
Yeah, I think so.
spot for some. You can see the mushrooms.
The mushrooms as well, yeah.
Just ruffling up the earth kind of releases it.
Yeah, exactly. That would release it. So yeah, so geosmin is really strong smelling to us. Basically, it's a chemical compound. It's named after the Greek words for geo, which is earth, and osme, I think, which is smell. So geosmin is something that's produced in soil by different microbes and bacteria, and then it sits there, and then it often is released when it rains, and that's part of the petrichor scent that we smell when it rains. That description. Yeah.
I have people, when they smell geosmin, just have this really deep connection to it.
Yeah. We are super sensitive to geosmin, so we can smell it in parts per trillion, which is just crazy. I think it's like this olfactory, the senses and things with wanting to find and seek water. So that's this idea that when it does rain, that's obviously going to be good for if you're producing crops and things like that. So yeah, so there's this like suggestion of this sort of evolutionary link, the reason why we inherently typically really love that smell.
Wow. I'm sure the geosmin is going to hit the right note in the scent for Te Rongo. The trick is going to be in the blending. Yeah, I was super inspired by your kōrero, your connection to scent, and just your work in general. So I thought some of the first things we could smell are probably the most rare and special things out of my kit, or what I would use, which are the floral absolutes, and I'm sure you'll like them.
What a treat.
Yeah, so the typical, I guess, flower, you know, a lot of people love it, is jasmine. And they call this one jasmine grandi. It's an Indian jasmine.
Interesting.
So yeah,
Thank
just
you.
sniff it and...
Oh, that's divine.
It's pretty incredible, eh?
Yeah, there's a depth to it, isn't there?
This one's Tunisian. You would call it a white floral, I guess. So orange blossom or orange flower. And it's an extract that is done with gas as opposed to solvents.
Right.
So you get a very clean extract.
Oh, there's a beautiful, slightly dirty edge to that.
It's the flower from an orange tree, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a lemon tree. Or...
You know what it reminds me of is my mum burning oils in the house. It's so magical, isn't it? I mean, it really is.
That's a really cool memory. Another amazing flower is lislang or lang lang. This is your really typical kind of white
yes.
floral.
Yeah, it is. You know what that reminds me of my dad?
No way.
Yeah.
In terms of...
So Dad loves fragrance. And when he walks past a woman in the street and he loves her fragrance, he will stop her and
No
say,
way.
"Darling, you smell magnificent."
What a legend.
Outrageous.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So this particular ingredient, people have a very visceral response to it. It's called geosmin. You know, disco light, it is a very powerful molecule.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Damp earth.
Damp earth, yeah. Animals are really perceptible to it, and so are humans. So this is at 1%. It's really, really lightly used because it's just too overpowering.
Yeah,
so it has
it's
to be
super
diluted.
strong. I think I understand what you're saying. There is a primal nature to that smell.
Exactly,
somehow.
exactly. It's good fun.
Very cool.
How did it go with Te Rongo Iho? I'm so interested to hear what happened and how things have changed.
Yeah, she was incredible, really. She is so deep. I think fragrance for her is more ritualistic. So I'm thinking an oil or even an attar.
You know what? I'd actually think that would be beautiful because it's such a highly concentrated perfume oil, very traditional from the Middle East, and should really appreciate that level of artistry in perfume.
So one of the standout ideas we talked about was petrichor. And when we visited Anawhata, there was this quite unique petrichor note that I thought was really different to any of the other places.
Funny, because as I'm smelling this, I'm literally picturing, windy, cold day on the West Coast beaches.
And then in terms of darkness, another one of the things she really, really liked was oud.
Almost a bit muddy.
So this is oud anouk, and it's an Indian oud, and anouk means exceptional. But it's animalic, it's woody, it's kind of sweet. My next choice was olibanum or frankincense. Most humans have a reaction to this of kind of, high spirituality.
Oh, it smells like my Catholic girls' high school.
But this is a very clear, refined version of frankincense.
Smells like sitting through mass. I know that she's artistic and she's got a real ethereal but also deep darkness to her, but at the end of the day, she still is a wahine. And I feel we could still round it out with maybe a bit of sandalwood, something a little bit creamy to just soften those edges.
Yeah, perfect. And that would have been a core part of attars of the past.
The ingredients in this are so exquisite. The caliber of this fragrance is something that would have only been reserved for royalty back in the days. It's a perfumer's perfume. For selfish reasons, I actually secretly hope she hates it so that I can take it home. Tēnā koe, Te Rongo, thank you so much for coming. We're super excited to have you here, and I'm excited to meet you in person.
Likewise, it's an absolute pleasure.
Are you excited?
I'm enthusiastic and very excited.
Yeah. All right, Te Rongo. Here we have it.
Oh my goodness. Nice. That's exquisite.
It's beautiful, eh?
It's beautiful.
This glass is a German hand-cut vintage glass, vintage crystal.
Oh my God.
What is in here is an oil. It's a perfume oil. So it's a highly concentrated, non-diluted attar.
My heart's pounding.
Same. Same.
Oh my God, you're gonna set me off.
So I'm gonna try not to cry.
Right.
Me too.
That's just magnificent. That is truly masterful. Like,
Thank you.
it was just like when we were out there in the environment. You really captured that. Oh gosh. Smell that on my
Can I
skin.
smell it? Oh my God, smell it. It's literally the flower coming out of the concrete.
It feels like it has the personality of an old world fragrance. Is that because of the fact that you've used it as an oil?
It is, yep. But it's kind of got this modern twist with this petrichor
Totally.
is one very key
Yeah.
thing in here.
And with that petrichor smell, that damp, earthy smell, it can be really easy to become too industrial, too modern, but you have the stillness of the tile, of the environment, the calmness as well.
That's a beautiful way of saying it. Scent to me is a bit like music, and when I close my eyes, I can see it in colours and emotion and environments and landscapes.
So I think for me, the top note is a resinous pine. So, you know, olibanum, which is frankincense, and hinoki. It's a Japanese type of cypress.
I remember that.
You remember smelling that?
I remember that
Yeah.
vividly. When you're moved by something that has been created, and what you're really tuning into is the core essence of inspiration, and you're recognizing that in its purest form. There's an aliveness in there, you know. I don't think we get that chance very often to just feel alive.
As soon as you brought that bottle out, it was like time stood still and it was electric.
Yeah, it was really emotional for me as well. And she just understood it on another level, on a spiritual level. And to be able to capture that in a scent and a bottle is, you know, still blows my mind that it's got that power.